what are you working towards? So if you're a young man or a young woman, the first thing that I would suggest in your pursuit of success, if you're just getting into sales, even if you're not in sales and you're just trying to level up in life, what are your goals? And do you have them written down? If you don't, that is the first place I would start. What are your 5-year goals? If you want, you can go down to what are your 3-year goals, but at the very least, what are your 5-year goals? What are your 1-year goals? What are your 6-month goals? And then you can break it down to month, week, right? And you can track your progress that way. And it's really, really important because again, if you don't know what your goals are, how do you know if you're succeeding? How do you measure yourself? How do you measure your success? So by breaking those goals down, putting them on paper, you can track yourself and say, hey, a year from now, I'd like to be a homeowner. And in 3 months, you can take a look and say, hey man, am I on track to being a homeowner? What do I need to do over the course of the next year to make that happen? If in a month's time, 2 months, 3 months time, I'm not making the money to be on track to make that happen, that's step one. That's the first thing I need to correct. Then I can look at, hey, have I talked to any real estate agents? Have I reached out to see what that process even looks like, right? Because that process might take more than just a few months, and it usually does. That's one of the things that I I hope that a lot of young men and women are watching this, because that's kind of my passion, is working with and helping to bring up the next generation of sales professionals or just young professionals, period, because I got so much out of mentorship and I still continue to this day. For me personally, I believe that one sort of cheat or one way one can kind of jump from A to Z way quicker than they otherwise would is by finding great mentors and not being afraid to ask for help. So for me, I was always really big on whoever the top guy was, I'd always go to and say, hey man, how do you do what you do? I remember having a mentor in sales or asking this one gentleman to be my mentor. He was a software sales rep, had the cool car, the cool hair, all the stuff that I look for as a young guy, and was like, dude, how do you do what you do? But what I asked him, the first thing that he told me was basically, what are your goals? And I had no answer. I had no idea. I was a young kid. I was probably like, make a bunch of money or something stupid like that. But his point was literally, what are your goals? What are your 5-year goals? What are your 3-year goals? What are your 1-year goals? And do you have those written on paper? For me, that was a very valuable lesson. And I try to pass that on to young people that I work with today. But you'd be amazed to see how many people even my age don't have their goals written down. So again, how do they measure themselves? Every business that I have, everything that I do, I have goals that are then broken down into numbers, and every department then has a number, so we can track on a weekly basis, how are we in pursuit of our goals? How are we measuring up week to week to week? Monday, for instance, is like my favorite day of the week. It's because we get a fresh set of goals. We get a fresh set of challenges, and that shit fires me up, dude. Every Monday I wake up and it's a new clean slate. What happened last week doesn't matter. We could have hit every single one of our goals last week, but guess what? We've got a higher pursuit, a higher purpose. We've got a year goal or a quarterly goal that we are trying to achieve, and the way we achieve that is by tracking our goals all the way down to a daily basis. If we did half of what we were supposed to do last week, we have to double next week's goals. It's as simple as that. So we can achieve our monthly goal, to achieve our quarterly goal, to achieve our 6-month goal, to achieve our yearly goal, and then ultimately our 3- and 5-year goals. There is a lot of power in the written word. I suggest you guys read a book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I mean, this is like very real science behind the idea that if you know your goals and you have your goals written down and you commit them to memory and then you verbally repeat those goals out loud, that the law of attraction and manifestation will draw you and the energy produced by that towards that outcome. The how is not important. It's establishing what your end goal is, visualizing it, seeing it, committing it to memory, writing it down, right? Repeating it, saying it out loud, and ultimately attracting yourself to that. And again, you can't do that if you don't know what those goals are. You can't do that if you don't write it down. But the point is, there's a lot of power in writing that down. I myself write my goals every fucking morning. Every single morning I write my goals out. I absolutely encourage you, if you haven't already done so, if you're a young person, old person, doesn't matter. If you don't have your goals written down, stop what you're doing after you watch this and write out immediately what your 5-year goal is, what your 1-year goal is, what your 6-month goal is, and then track yourself on a week-to-week basis. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. If you haven't already done it, you have to. Absolutely have to.